Did you know that your blood sugar can look completely normal and you can still be severely insulin resistant? Doctors test glucose and A1C, and if those numbers look normal, people assume their metabolism is healthy. But there's a big problem with that logic because glucose and insulin are not the same thing. In fact, some insulin resistant people have perfect glucose and perfect A1C. And this was me. I had normal glucose and my A1C was actually low at 4.3, and I was still insulin resistant. I was struggling to lose weight, dealing with chronic fatigue and massive skin issues all over my body, but none of the standard advice was helping because I and my well-meaning doctors were looking at the wrong marker. Most people think that glucose levels tells the whole story, but insulin levels provide the real insight. And there are 3 reasons that cause glucose levels to look normal when a person is actually very metabolically impaired. One reason is something called reactive hypoglycemia. When you're insulin resistant, your body often produces too much insulin in response to carbohydrates. So instead of glucose staying high, insulin overcompensates, pushing the glucose down too aggressively. Your blood sugar might look normal or even low, but the reason isn't good metabolic health. It's because your insulin is too high. Even A1C can be misleading. A1C measures how much sugar sticks to your red blood cells over time, but red blood cells don't live the same amount of time in everyone. Healthier cells live longer. Unhealthy cells die sooner. And when they die sooner, they have less time to collect sugar, which can make your A1C look artificially low. So your labs can look normal even when your metabolism isn't. The opposite situation can also happen. You can have high glucose with low insulin. This happens in type 1 diabetes or type 1.5 diabetes called LADA. They don't produce enough insulin or any at all, so glucose and A1C rise. Are they now insulin resistant? No, they are not insulin resistant because insulin is actually low or non-existent. And resistance always comes when there's too much of something. The only way to be insulin resistant is
have too much insulin.
So remember this, glucose tells you part of the story, but insulin is what determines whether your metabolism is actually healthy. Now here is the frustrating part. There is no real at-home insulin tester, but there is a way to get a clue. You can check your blood ketones. Ketones and insulin have an inverse relationship. When insulin is high, your body can't produce ketones. When insulin drops, your body starts burning fat and producing ketones. So if your ketones are very low or 0, that can be a sign that insulin is still elevated. I've used the Keto Mojo to keep track of my ketones daily for the last 5 years. There's a link to get one for yourself in the description. So your glucose might look fine, but that doesn't mean that your insulin is. Get a fasting insulin level checked at your doctor's or your local lab, and get a Keto Mojo to check your ketones at home. Remember, if you rule your insulin, you rule your health.